The 5-0 Podcast.
5-0 Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 5-0 Podcast. It's your host, Haley, and this is today's Ask Haley. I am totally going to be honest with you guys. I am running on 2 hours of sleep, and then from yesterday, probably 4, so maybe 6 in the last 2 days, 2 nights of sleep. I am struggling, and I feel like every time on Ask Haley, I'm struggling somehow. I feel like Thursdays are like a hard day for me because if it's my long week, I work Monday, Tuesday, and then I'm off. But if it's my long week, I work Monday, Tuesday, and then I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Wednesdays and Thursdays are my only 2 days off, and I catch up on sleep, or I try on Wednesdays, and then Thursday is literally my only day off. And then if it's my short week, I work Thursday. So it's like Thursday is like my catch-up day, or like my Friday. So either way, I don't really know where I'm going with this. You guys, my brain, I'm telling you, my brain is struggling. Anyways, we haven't done like questions from followers in like 3 weeks. And like I tell you guys, I do it always on the fly. Look, my mic's all the way over here. I didn't even realize I wasn't using it. Hello. I do it on the fly because would I love to sit there and prepare my answers and pick up the questions beforehand? Absolutely. Do I have the time or energy? No, I certainly don't. So we just roll with it. And honestly, it helps me in my brain stimulation to answer questions on the fly. I think it's kind of cool. So we're going to get started. And we'll see how good I can go on 6 hours of sleep in 2 nights, or 2 days, should I say, for my fellow graveyard shifters. Okay, first question is, what is your thoughts on the 30 by 30 initiative? Okay. This is a pretty deep question, I feel like. The 30 by 30 initiative, let me tell you what that is first. It's basically an initiative that aims to increase the number of female representation, female officers in law enforcement by 30% by the year 2030. And I have this memorized. I actually do. Right now, I think it was in 2022 was when they did the last reporting. There's 14% women in law enforcement. And then actually, funny enough, today I just posted that there only 3% of women hold positions of power in law enforcement. So is there a lack of representation of women in law enforcement? Yes. I know that there are people that think that this initiative is encouraging departments to, quote unquote, lower their standards to hire more women. I think any incentive that, I'm obviously team women here, right? Any incentive that encourages departments to look at more maybe applications of women, more positions for women is great. Do I think that there's going to be some struggle or backlash with it? Yes, because do I already get told, oh, I'm a DEI hire already? Yeah, I do. So do I think it's going to be a win as far as policing goes? Yes, I think more women, the better. Do I think it's going to be a win as far as like culture and society, how they're going to talk about it? Probably not. But my view on this is a little bit of a more political answer, or a less political answer, maybe. I don't know, whatever you feel it is. But my view on this would be the reason I do what I do is to encourage more women to become police officers. What I do by putting myself out here, by representing or showing representation of women in the law enforcement career field, Do I get backlash? Abso-freaking-lutely. But for every 50 comments, I get 2 mean comments, whatever, it's worth it to me. Have I inspired women to become police officers by putting myself out there? Yes. Have I had so many women say that they wanted to be police officers after they'd seen my videos or seen that, I'm a woman that does this job, and it inspired them that they could do the same. They didn't know that they could. They didn't know they had the qualifications, et cetera, et cetera. Great. This isn't about me. If more of us spoke out on public platforms or just in your local communities, your police departments even use their social media, like most police departments have Instagram and Facebook, by highlighting women more often on their pages so that women in these local areas can see, oh, there's women police officers that work here that look just like me. Maybe I can apply. I am qualified. Look at that. More women representation in the field, more of us that speak out on our experiences, how we like the job, how we're good at the job, just highlighting women in general will have the effect of more women to apply for the job. It's just that because we are underrepresented and we are not represented in the sense that, I don't think that we are highlighted as much as we should be, or, shown, like I said, on social media as much as we should be, or there's probably a lot of women like me that are afraid to speak out because of the backlash. If we did more of that, there'd be more of us, and we wouldn't have to do the 30 by 30 incentives. We would just have women who are motivated by wanting to become a police officer because they know they can do it. They see other women, they see people that look like them, act like them in this field, and it inspires them to become a police officer. So I hope that kind of answers your question. But if I could inspire 5 women to become a police officer in, let's say, my department, if everyone kind of spoke up and kind of joined this movement of like, you can do it too, we can inspire more women to join us, because I need you, we need you. We definitely need more women on this job. We are so valuable and so important. Nothing can change that. We need women, that's for sure. So hopefully, this we get more women in the door, and departments realize they need to show more representation in the workforce where they can. So yeah. Let's go to our next question. I'm literally just gonna, I have lots of DMs, and let's go through. Right. Okay. Okay. This one's good. I feel like a lot of my questions are about lateral transferring. And I know that so many people have questions about it, so we will get to this question. Hey, I'm looking heavy into moving. I'm in the process. Now, what agency did you go to? How many years did you already have in Chicago? And did you move with someone else, or did you go alone? Did you know people already before you moved? How's your experience been? I'm sorry, I'm so anxious about it, and I just need a light from God to help me make this move. Oh my God. To this girl who wrote me this, I cannot relate more. I kept saying, show me a sign, show me a sign. I need like something from God to show me a sign that I should make this move. I can totally relate. I literally wanted a meteor to strike me down and say, just do it. Because it's so hard. And I had a comment today on one of my posts. It's like, how do people not know how to lateral transfer? It's not that big of a deal. Why are people asking so many questions? Well, first of all, asking questions is the best thing you could possibly do, because why not if people have the answers or have advice? But number 2 is like leaving your job, leaving your home, leaving your city, leaving your friends, leaving your family, leaving this, what you already have built is such a risk and such a challenge, and is so hard, and is a huge freaking deal, that please ask questions. Please know what you're getting yourself into before you do it, because there has been a lot of people that have quit, lateral transferred, and then went right back to the department they came from because they didn't like it. Now, did people give it a fair chance? I'm not sure, because I think you got to give it at least a full year to really know if it's something for you. But so as far as how many years I did at my agency in Chicago, I did 4.5. It was like literally 20 days short of 5 years. Did I move in with someone else? Yes. I moved in with my fiance. So I had a place to live. I had a support system. Thank God. I do not know if I would have done it without it. I'm a very social, friendly person, so I think I could have. But if you're not, obviously, I'm in my 30s. It's not easy to start over and make friends in your 30s, or to move to a new city, a new state in your 30s, or really any age for that matter. It's hard. So I did have a support system. Did I go alone, or did I already know people before I moved? I really just knew my fiance, and I had met people through him in the process of visiting him so many times that were friends, and we were friendly. But did I have the friends like I had in my hometown, in my home city of Chicago? No. Was I scared I was going to struggle making friends? Absolutely. Was I scared I wasn't going to have the same friendships with my coworkers that I already had? Absolutely. I mean, the fears were there, but I at least had my fiance, but that also made me nervous. Is like, I didn't want to just depend on him for like my happiness or my friendships or whatever. I wanted to make sure that I had other friends, because friends are so important. You can't just only have your partner. You gotta have girlfriends, right? So, how has my experience been? I'm so anxious about it. My experience has been good, but has my experience been different? Yes. It's night and day. I went from Chicago, which is an agency of like 12,000 people, to my new agency, I think is like 175 people. Deciding if I wanted to transfer to an agency that was similar or different to my original agency was probably my hardest decision. Naturally, I wanted to go to a department like Fort Lauderdale, which is like a big city, several departments, lots of opportunity. In my heart of hearts, I thought that would be the best fit. That's not what I ended up going with. I ended up going with the department that I'm now in South Florida. That's smaller, but it's also very busy, and it is like a city. A very touristy town, but also a lot of people are born and raised in the area and love it there. We do have a lot of snowbirds too, so there are seasons like in the winter where it gets substantially busier because so many people are coming in from out of town, and the population like triples between like November and March. And then there's spring break right after that, and then summer. What has my experience been? It's been good. I don't have regrets. The thing I miss most is my home and seeing my mom and dad and seeing my friends and family, of course. But at some point as an adult, you have to make decisions for yourself and start your own family, build your own life. I could not just stay in a place just because I didn't want to leave my mom and dad and my friends. I had to do what was best for me and my future family, right? And thank God I had supportive people around me that believed in me and assured me that they'd be there for me in case things didn't work out. So what I would say to this girl who wrote me that, do you have that? Do you have a support system that you can fall back on if this doesn't work out? I obviously don't know your situation and what is pulling you to leave your department or leave your state, whatever it may be, or how old you are. But what I would say is if you're young and you're single and you're thinking of making this change, I think with any career or any young woman, I say go for it. Like, you can't really lose as long as you have your home. I have a tattoo on my arm that says home is always home. So truly, if, like I said, if you have that support system at home, you really can't lose because home is always home. If you want to take these adventures now and these leaps in your career now, do it, because it was hard for me to do it in my 30s. when I already had established myself at my department. I was lucky enough to be in a really good unit, in a really good position at my department, and leaving that was hard. That was the hardest part, because I'm like, wow, I'm so lucky in the position that I have right now. Leaving that, because I'm a very career-oriented person. Career is so important to me. Where I go in my life is so important to me. So leaving a job, pressing that quit button was so freaking hard. But I did it for love. Have I taken risks in life before this? Absolutely. I have lived in other cities. I have done crazy, crazy things. This is off topic, but I've even packed up my things and bought a one-way ticket and moved to an island at one point in my 20s. Did it work out? Absolutely not. But do I regret the experience? No. So if you needed a sign from God, again, I don't know your reasoning for wanting to leave, but if there's a reason that you want to leave or thinking about leaving, then there's probably enough for you to leave. And if home is always home and you always have a support system there, and if, God forbid, things don't work out, an experience is always worth it. There's always lessons learned. If you're still young, go for it. And honestly, if you are older and you're thinking about coming to Florida, it's a great place to retire too. It's a great place to also raise a family. It's safe. It's beautiful. The weather's great. You don't have to shovel your snow out of your driveway. I mean, there's not a lot of bad things I could say about it. So I hope this answers your question. And I think if you move alone, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. And I think it's going to be super scary. I'm not going to lie to you, but I think you'll come out with a lot of valuable things for your life, your career. And I think you'll be thankful you did it. Because every risk we don't take is an opportunity that we can lose. So take that risk. You might be asking the wrong person though, because I'm a huge risk taker. So yeah. All right, let's answer the next question. Also, while I'm looking for the next question, I also just want to say thank you for all the support so far with this podcast. Every Tuesday, I release a new episode with a special guest to share a story or advice or whatever it may be in the first responding field. And then every Thursday, I try to put out these Ask Kayleys. And putting myself out there isn't always easy. I face criticism, backlash, but I get a lot more positive feedback than negative. And for the people that do give me the positive feedback, or listening to this on the way to work or whatever, I appreciate you. And I hope you know that. I really, really, truly do. And we need to keep cultivating an environment where women support other women, men support women, women support men. We're kind to one another, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So I just want to say thank you. Okay. This one's a good one. Can you explain the policing differences you notice between CPD and Florida? I am currently here in Illinois and curious. Oh, gosh. Oh, the differences. I feel like I'm going to say some funny stuff. I don't want to disrespect Chicago police in any way, because I absolutely loved my job. And I think that it was an amazing department. I don't have many bad things to say. But the differences are a lot. Let me put it this way. This guy's a police officer, and I'm sure a lot of people who are listening are police officers or friends of police officers or whatever, or know a little bit, one or two things about it, right? Let's start by this example. I have a friend who lived in the area, and her gym bag got stolen from her car. And she called 911, and the agency that I work for now came there, were super nice to her, super friendly, gave her a report, and then fingerprinted her car for prints for whoever stole that gym bag. She told me that, like, hey, heads up. These people were so nice. They fingerprinted my car. They gave me a report for my gym bag. told me how to, get my money back because she had like insurance or whatever about things in her vehicle, whatever it may be. And when I tell you that I was so surprised by that story, I literally said we would never have done that in Chicago. Never. Fingerprinting your car for a stolen gym bag would have never, ever, ever happened. And this is, again, I'm not disrespecting Chicago. It's not because I don't think that we'd want to do it. It's because we wouldn't have the time to do it. And time was really of the essence in Chicago, and the call volume and the priorities of the calls. That call would probably hold for 8 hours because it's obviously not emergency. But the fact that they came right away, gave her great service, and went above and beyond is kind of like a perfect example of how Florida is. Once I started working for my department, I literally have said to my bosses that they asked the same thing. What's the biggest difference? I said, it's just crazy. If I lived here, because I don't live where I work here in Florida, but I said, if I was a resident here of where you guys police, I police now, I would be so thankful. I would feel so safe, and I would be so thankful for this police department because you guys really do the most. You really do a great job, and you really do what you're saying you're supposed to do and going to do. And if there's a bad guy out there, you're damn right they're going to catch him. I mean, it's crazy. The amount of perimeters I have set since being in Florida just to, catch someone who's a suspect or an offender in some sort of any dispatch call where a perimeter needs to be set. I don't think I set that many perimeters in Chicago. Because again, we didn't have the time or the manpower. And not saying that the department I work at now is not busy, because it actually is really busy. And I was actually really surprised by how busy it was. I was kind of thinking I'd come here and have it a little bit easier than I did in Chicago, obviously running from call to call and like never getting a lunch and whatever. And I would say that it's not the case. It's very, very busy. But people do feel more comfortable to call 911 as well. So that's a difference. I think that there could be times where shit's hitting the fan in Chicago and people still don't want the police to come. Whereas in Florida, they do want their police there because they trust their police. They want their police there, and they feel like the police can help them solve their problems, which does create good and bad in both ways, which is great that they trust and want their police there to help. But 911, I think, gets abused a little bit more down here. People call for a lot of things that maybe are not emergencies. So it definitely goes both ways, which does create high call volume because it is busy, because people do like to call the police. They want you there. The respect I've been given down here is a huge difference as well. People are really say thank you. You're really appreciated. But again, for the cause, you're appreciated because you really are present, and you're really doing, again, what you say you're going to be doing. It's so different. I can't even explain the differences, but there's a lot more paper. There's a lot more paperwork. And at first I was kind of bitter about it. I was kind of like, oh my gosh, this is kind of crazy. Why are we writing a report on this lost bag that had nothing of value in it or whatever? Lost keys, you have a spare. I mean, what's the big deal or whatever? I was kind of like, this is a lot of work for it. But now I see it more as they do a lot of proactive and preventative policing, where it's like, when in doubt, write it out. And I think a lot of times I didn't do that as much in my last department. But now I really document so much. And again, at first it kind of bothered me, but now it's like natural. I've been here a year, and it's definitely does not bother me anymore. I think, obviously, in this day and age in policing, documentation is important. As they say, CYA, cover your ass. Why not? Document, write it out, write, what happened. And yeah, I think I've become a more detail-oriented officer here. And again, when you are appreciated by your community, it does spark your fire in wanting to be a better officer as well, which unfortunately I didn't have all the time in Chicago. There was a lot of times I was very appreciated, and I don't want to, again, talk bad at all. But there was times where I was very underappreciated, ignored, disrespected. And here, it's not nearly as much, which I'm thankful for. But I'm glad as an officer I have both experiences. Because I think sometimes when maybe, excuse my French, but shit hits the fan here in Florida, maybe people aren't expecting it. Whereas like I know how to handle those kind of situations because of my prior work history in a really busy city. So yeah, it's I could go on all day about the differences. But also like another big difference is like a take-home car. I didn't have a take-home car in Chicago. And my coworkers are like, how did you do that? Like, wait, you left your car here and you changed? Where'd you change? You had a locker room and you left your stuff at work and then you drove home in your personal car? Like, what? It's so crazy to now have my own car to take to work and take home. That's just like a huge difference right there. You kind of like are an independent contractor when you have your own vehicle. You drive yourself to work and you drive yourself right home. It's like your mobile office. And it's definitely interesting working by myself. I had a partner in Chicago, and here I'm by myself. But you have like beat partners and stuff that come to like every call with you. So it feels like you have a partner, but you have your own car, which I wasn't used to like having my own privacy in that sense. So I never knew what it was like, but I actually do like it. I thought I would be really sad and lonely because I obviously loved my partners and it was so nice always having someone there. But you still do. You just get your car to yourself, which is nice. So there's definitely ups and downs in both. And I'm grateful for both experiences. And I think it makes me a more well-rounded officer. I mean, obviously I've dealt with both sides of the fence here. But yeah, so that's my 3 questions for the day. And I really appreciate you guys and your support. And I love getting questions from you guys. And I hope I answer them always honest, because that's always my goal. And feel free to send me your questions if I don't get to them right away. I apologize. Obviously, I'm working full-time. I'm a stepmom. I have my podcast. I have my business, my clothing company, and I have a life and a family and friends. And I do my best to balance it all, but I'm not perfect. Make sure you take time for yourself. Like, again, today I've only had 2 hours of sleep. I'm so thankful to have this platform and these opportunities, but I also need to make sure I'm mindful about taking care of myself. So you need to make sure you take care of yourself too and be kind to yourself. So anyways, I'm going to go eat something. It's 4 p.m. and I also haven't eaten anything but drank 1 single coffee today. So we're going to get to that. And I can't wait to see you next week. Thank you so much. And as always, be safe. I got your 6.